All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Africa Life's How We Do It. And in this episode, we are interviewing Mr. Dami Adepoju.
All right. Um, Thanks for having me. My name is Dami Adepoju. I'm excited to be here today to talk about my creative journey and how I got here.
Okay, Mr. Adepoju is on Forbes' list of 100 Black-owned businesses to support. He's a Clarkson University graduate with a dual degree in Bachelor of Science and Mechanical Engineering and Aeronautical Engineering as well. He created Fini shoes, a shoe that is designed to be worn up to 6 different ways via a zipper mechanism that he patented. Mr. Adepoju is skilled in e-commerce, social media, graphic design, web design, photography, videography, visual directing, and business strategy. He is a fashion and accessories expert, a creative strategist at Hervé Leger, a luxury Paris fashion house, and of course, the founder and brand director of Fini Shoes. Welcome, Dami, to the show.
Thank you. What a grand opening.
Well, hey, listen, this is you.
Thank you very much. It's sometimes I don't even believe in myself. I feel like I wear all the caps when I'm trying to create a business. But it's a good experience because you get to learn a lot, and from learning a lot, you know what's best for your business. Especially when you start a company from scratch, if you don't understand little aspect of your business and what's most important, the aspect of the business, sometimes um, you might set yourself back. For me, understanding every aspect of my business made me realize what's the best area to invest or to put my capital at a certain point to be able to drive me forward. Um, but yeah, thank you for that introduction.
Yes, and it points to the fact that you are actually doing a lot. And so how do you balance it all?
So it's funny because if you know me personally, you know that I I'm always on my laptop somehow, like trying to figure out or trying to looking at my to-do list, trying to check the next box. And for me, I don't really get to take it. Sometimes I feel like I accomplish some goals and I don't take a minute to appreciate it more. Because I'm always on the go. I'm like on go mode all the time. Um, but when I did take a pause, I love to exercise, get out there with my friends, get away from my computer and just let it go. But I'm always working, and the best way for me to stop working is just to travel. I travel a lot. One thing people don't know about me, I used to work for JetBlue in the ed, 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 ed office in Long Island City, and so I'm used to traveling by. I've been everywhere, so that one thing I would say actually that really gets me balanced and get me off my to-do list of what I need to accomplish is traveling. I love to travel.
Okay, so what's your favorite go-to place, I guess, if you want to get away or clear your head in the
Um,
world, city?
I love to go to Miami. One because it's quick. You can easily get on a quick flight to Miami from New York. Apart from that, I always love to plan to go to new places every year. So I feel like that's very exciting. The joy of a new environment and learning from the environment, and just learning how people live their lifestyle in different cultures is that alone will even let you forget any to do. But once in a while, I plan a new like I'll say new journey for me to experience and learn from people and learn from the way they live and their culture.
Right. So for as a creative person, I'm sure that probably gets the juices flowing, see different perspectives, how things are done. Because the moment you touch down in a different city, there's a whole different vibe. It's almost as if, you know, you
The
step
energy,
out, like when you come back to New York, it's like you're happy to see those yellow cabs. I guess now it's Uber.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the energy is always different. Like
Yes.
if you go to, for example, I've been to one of my favorite places I've ever been to is Tokyo, and you can like the energy there is different. Like the way people dress, the way people speak, even the buildings, the environment, like the food. It's just like the culture is totally different, and you appreciate certain things more when you get back home, or you're enjoying certain things when you're out there. For me, it's like learning from like I love the way I see things. Right, I learning from a four wall of a classroom is great, but you can learn more in in the world. You can by traveling, you can learn you can learn a lot about the world. I feel like not a lot of people get the opportunity to travel the way I did when I was working for JetBlue, but I really appreciate that aspect of my life because um, I it's part of who I am really big. Having the opportunity to travel and meet new people and do stuff like crazy stuff I've experienced. I feel like it kind of also led me to like my journey of creating a footwear because the entire footwear company started from like uh, having to bring multiple shoes when you're traveling. Like the idea of creating a versatile product that you can wear multiple ways also came from traveling as well. So I try to learn and think outside the box even while doing stuff. I feel like that's what makes me me.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were born, raised, different cities you grew up in, and how that impacts you,
Yeah,
makes you?
so I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and I moved here when I was 15. I went to college upstate New York. I went to Clarkson University. I actually went to school at a very young age. I enrolled at Clarkson at 16. That's when I started.
Wow.
Uh, so I was supposed to graduate when I was 20, but I was like, what's the rush? So I went on. I went to. I had one more year to my schooling. So I did a co-op internship during the semester, and I also went study abroad. I studied in England for a semester as well. So that made it a year. I added a year to my 4 year um, journey. So it was a good experience for me, uh, and I feel like growing up in Nigeria. Although I've always known like I was gonna eventually come here and eventually school here and start my life here. Um, so I was kind of brought up in Nigeria in the Western world because I learned everything I could before I eventually came here. Um, but I feel like you're not really meant prepared until you get it. It's like there's a lot of cultural shift I had to go through: the weather, the food, being in a new environment, and that's one thing that I had to kind of learn quickly and grow quickly. I feel and I still keep that in me today because it does help me when I'm traveling, um, when I'm doing anything else in my life.
Okay, that's great. So tell us more about Fini Shoes. So for those who don't know, let's get initiated. So that's finishoes.com. And your handle for Instagram and everything else is at Fini Shoes. And you've created this shoe that is versatile. Like you said, you can have a low top, a mid top, a high top. It's very fashion forward. You have different versions, classic, some suede things, and then there's one that you have because I'm trying to because I like your shoes, and I'm like, well, which one do I want to get? And then on the slider, you have one that has like the fur lining. I
Yeah.
see
So
it in the picture, and I can't find it in the accessories. Let's talk about that.
yeah. So good. Thank you for mentioning that, by the way. So like one reason why we created Finish Shoes, just to give you the entire scope of this, is we wanted to introduce creativity and versatility into footwear. So and how we were able to do that is we created footwear that you can kind of take apart and like add accessories to it and becomes another pair of shoe. And we started with one pair of shoe that you can with the zippers that you can take off, add on tops, becomes another pair. And now we taking that whole idea of introducing new pair of shoes. So now we have like a slip on that you can zip the front part and zip on the another part of it. And we also introducing new product lines in the next couple of weeks as well. And we were able to achieve all this not via just not via zipper. So we're trying to find other mechanisms to achieve the same goal, right? Because we want people to be able to think of Fini whenever they see Fini, they think about a product or a shoe that you can wear multiple ways. Um, and we we want to try and stay with the product with products that people are kind of used to. So for example, we're introducing that shoe to our product line, something that people are familiar with, and it's something that is popular and it's trending in the fashion industry. But we want to add the Fini element to it and have a product that you already buy, but we will give you another reason for you to buy our product because every single product you can wear multiple ways. So that should set us apart from our competitors because we not only offering something similar to what they're offering, but we having another um, product offering that
Right.
we consider and say, oh, this is now I can have options when I'm buying this product. But yeah, so that's what Fini is about, and we couldn't find the four on the website because we don't have them anymore. It's sold out.
Right.
Uh,
I can see why.
yeah, so like we because we started the shoe in China, and that first production was done in China, and
Okay.
since the factory to Portland for a few reasons, we don't make some of the previous collections that we made in China anymore. We're
Right.
trying to kind of keep innovating what we're doing,
Right.
uh, but by offering new product line. But also keep in mind, like our factory in Portugal can handle certain things, and also can make better quality product. But they're not able to make our first collection yet, and that's something we're working on. We're going to release new products that our manufacturing in Portugal can make, but they're not able to make our
Okay.
shoe made yet. But we look into that. That will come back in, but not for
Okay.
now.
You could reboot the classic later on or
Yeah.
something like that. so so tell us how you started briefly, the idea and how you got to today, a brief history of any shoes.
Yeah. So I started this when I was about to graduate from boxing, from my undergrad. I had like 3 months left. I was going. Funny thing was, actually, I was going on spring break with my friends. We're going to Jamaica, so it was like a lot of us. Our final year in college was like, oh, let's do something fun. So we all booked a trip to Jamaica, and this is when how the idea was born of how will it be really cool to have a product that like you're traveling and you have all these shoes you have to bring for different occasion. Why is there no footwear that you can kind of take apart and wear in multiple ways? That's how the idea was born in my head, and from there it's how to execute it, because I see it as a void that can be filled in the fashion space. Why are they? Why the corporate giants like Nike or Adidas or New Balance are not creating shoes like this? And there's a reason why they're not, because it's not easy to create versatile product because not first of all, not everybody wants to wear um, zippers or want to have their shoes that way, which is fine. But there's also a group of people that would do that. So it's about finding your target but most important thing is actually designing something that is versatile that people will wear. I feel like a lot of people have tried to do it in the past, but they got it wrong. So for me, it's like, how do I go to the drawing board and create something that is truly versatile and um, it's like your everyday sneakers that people actually wear that fits in multiple purpose, and design something that is slick but um doesn't like for me with the way I place the zippers on the shoes, the way I was able to accomplish the versatility of the product. What I think like was made Fini shoes where it is right now because people love the simplicity and people love um how the functionality of the product and how that was designed as well.
So I'm sure there were a lot of challenges along the way. I think what our audience probably would like to know is if you could highlight, two or three maybe, and how you approach them, how you overcame them as a way to maybe that people can learn from that.
Yeah, so for me, one of my biggest challenge was not um, knowing how the fashion industry work when I started this, like the business of fashion itself, and also not having any resources in that space. Like, oh, I want to start a shoot, right? Like, okay, why, how, like, where do you, who's gonna make your pattern? Who's gonna make your samples? Which factory do you know? You don't. You don't know. A lot of we. I feel like as a society, we wear a lot of you know, fashion items, but we don't even know where they made. And I was certainly one of those people before. Um, people wear Nikes, people wear buy their clothes from Zara. You don't know where those clothes are made. They tell like yeah, they say China, uh, but where in China? Like you don't have you never seen a lot of like the videos of people making the shoes, and that's one thing like that. Like for me as a brand, I'm trying to kind of change that print jack. So if you go on our website, you can see where the shoes are made. You can we had a video of of the factory workers that actually making the shoes, and they will continue to make those videos. Even now that the factory is back, I sent some people out there that I know in Portugal that do videograph that takes videos to take some videos of them making and producing our product, so we can kind of communicate with people on how the fashion items are being made. And I feel like that will also bring us closer to our consumer as well. But for me, going back to the questions, I was it was very challenging for me because I didn't know anybody in the fashion space. So my school helped me a lot when I was starting the business because I proposed a business to them. They liked the idea. They wanted to execute it for me and let teach me um how to be a business owner and how to kind of start a business. And like they were very very helpful in that sense where introduced me to like a lawyer that would started a corporation for me, trying to open a bank account, social media wise, like marketing, um, having a design part and stuff like that, stuff like that could help you when you go in a business, but not actually. What they didn't have, um, they didn't have any resources when it comes to actually creating a product or being in fashion space. They have the business side of down pat because they also have a business program in that shit, but they didn't have it's an engineering school. They
Right.
didn't have anything fashion related. So I had to kind of go outside my comfort zone to look for those stuff. And I feel like it took me a long time to get to the point where I can launch my product or I can launch a company to the world because it took me a couple of years to figure out where to make the sample. So like how to make a really good sample. Trying sample manufacturers in China, even in Italy. So what I was able to do is like I knew I wanted to do this and I want to kind of accomplish this. And starting just coming out of college as a 21-year-old kid, I had to kind of like figure out what I want to do in the long run. So to to pay my bills and stuff like that. So I got a job, which was what I did when I was working for JetBlue Corporate. But I knew I also want to continue this journey of creating this company. So I feel like that it was a perfect job for me at that point because I was able to travel to different places via having my benefits with my job to find out how to make this shoe. So I went to China, went to Italy, went all over the world. There's also factories in the United States, in New York, that I was able to talk to see if they can help me with samples. Um, but yeah, suddenly one of like my roadblocks was not knowing the right resources. And even when I actually launched a company too, like you have to know certain people in the fashion space
Mm.
that that can help you grow your brand rapidly because at the end of the day, this is still a fashion company. It's a great idea, but you have to be known and recognized in the fashion space, um, you have to get on certain blogs. You have to get on certain approval from certain people to be able to get on there. So like, for, and that's why I actually went back to school to get my master's, because I wanted to understand that business of fashion, how that works, how certain things, have that network of people that can do stuff for you, or that you can do stuff for them, or like just learning from them in general. And I know for me, it was very powerful to go back to school and get my master's in fashion, um, because the knowledge that you get and understanding how things work, um, you can't buy that. Like it was very powerful, and now I feel like I can apply those knowledge to my business and grow. And I'm very excited for the future. And it has also brought me a lot of other opportunities as well. And just knowing people in general and aligning yourself with people that do the same thing.
You know, what stands out to me is that you said it took you, quote, a couple of years to essentially figure out where to get the shoes made. Is that what it is? Or
Yeah. So
it's impressing me how long your tenacity that, you know, sometimes people say that to be an overnight success takes 10 years or something to that effect.
yes, that's absolutely true. Because not everybody see, oh, like, because I like to follow people's story, and like, generally when you see people like, being successful, but they don't understand like how much work they've actually put in to able to do what they're doing. Um, or like even working behind the scenes, like people like you might know, people, some people might not realize. But for me, I've, I started working on this idea from 2013, and I feel like I'm still going through it and understanding what it takes to actually run a footwear company. I'm still learning. Like I've learned a lot, and I'm very very happy to be where I am right now, and I appreciate where my current position. But it wasn't easy getting in and understanding how this business works, and because it's a for me to do this, I have to be connected globally in some ways, and having that connection globally takes time. Um, but yeah, it took me a long time to kind of go from drawing something on paper to physically having a product I can even show somebody. Like I, if I show you pictures of like some of our first initial samples, like you be like, what is this? Like, and I spent so much money on that. Like our first sample cost $5,000, and I
Wow.
couldn't even like it was made from the like I feel like I it was made with the wrong person. Like that person shouldn't have any business taking shoe samples, but that's like me doing that shows the fact that I didn't understand or I didn't have the correct connection at that point. Like right now, if I want to make a shoe sample, I know who to talk to. I know where to go. I know what to, how much it's going to cost me. I know how long it's going to take. But at that point, like I said, knowledge is power. So like me not knowing and me not having that relationship and not having who to talk to could not only cost you money, but it cost you time.
Right.
And like waiting on samples that I could take like maybe a couple of weeks to make. I was waiting on it for like 6 months, and then when it come, I'm like, what is this? I can't use it. It's like you have to kind of change it again. You have to wait on that 6 months to figure it to like wait on like a new sample to come back. So it was I was very patient in that sense, but like it took that's why it took me so long to kind of launch it. I eventually launched the company in 2018, but it took me 5 years to able to even get to that point to launch the company because of just trying to have a good product that I feel like I could launch. And even now we're still even trying to see how to improve our product, which is why we moved from China to Portugal to make better and quality product. But you learn a lot from like um from from trying to do stuff, from your failures. And I feel like that's just the best way to learn and grow. It's like just trying. And I feel like not a lot of people get to get that opportunity to do that though.
That's true. So it begs the question, you know, we got to keep it real a little bit. Why in the world are you trying to start a fashion brand? You're a mechanical engineer. you don't know anything about fashion. Some people would say, okay, if you're trying to start a new, isn't there something else based that you knew more about that maybe would make more sense to start, like
So
making watch or
stuff
something?
about my goal. That's why people around me like tell me like if I want to do something, like I will give it my all. Like I'll starve myself. Like I'll give it everything I have. Like if I say okay today, I say tomorrow I wake up and I say like you know what I want to sell finishes and start something else. Like anything else I'm doing in my life, I'll make sure I give it my 100% because I'm committed and I have that passion. And like, yes, I could have done anything else with my background, but because I just had the void and passion, like I can do this. And I feel like this is a great idea, and this might not be monetizing right now. It might not make me money, but I feel like this is something that I could have that could potentially be um, be a business in the long run. Um, if I do it right. And I realized like I have to learn certain things. I have to take my time to figure out certain things and educate myself. So like my drive kept me going and because I was very passionate about this. I apart from like being like an engineer and stuff, I love footwear. So it was part of my I feel like my passion. It was part of my passion. I feel like people don't really get to talk about it a lot. Like you have to love what you do and be passionate about it, unless you want to do it. Wow, that for me because I was very passionate about footwear and in general, it made me kept me going through it. Even at days where like people told me to give up or like people didn't believe in me when I was first doing it because I would tell people like, "Hey, I'm trying to do this," and people would laugh in my face. When I was young, I used to like go to parties and like tell my friends like, "I have this company I'm doing." Like they were just like whatever.
Whatever.
They didn't really like they didn't believe what I was trying to do, and I don't blame them because some people project themselves on you and they project what what they feel like they can do and like they put on you. But for me, the way I look at myself and the way I try to I do certain things, I feel like there's nothing in this what I can do. And if I put my mind to it, it might take me years, but I feel like eventually I'm gonna be able to do that stuff. But to answer the question, I was very passionate about what I was doing, and which is why it kept me going really even when a normal person would have given up, uh, uh, I didn't because I knew I could do this. I had so much no's, people telling me no and like, oh, this is not possible. And I said if you, my mentality at that point was if someone tell me like no, I'm sure I can find someone that can tell me yes. And I literally went all around the world before I got a yes. Because I used to talk to some factories in Italy. And the guys, after a few samples, we spent so much money and time trying to make the product. And the guy came back to me after a year, like, yeah, I can't do this. This is not possible. Yeah. And like I spent like almost like 15, $20 making few samples with them. And like after a year, and it was like, oh, I don't think this is possible. Like, let's not waste our time and money anymore. So that's when I actually eventually moved and find another factory in China, doing doing my journey of looking for factories and looking for people to make the shoe for me. But yeah.
Wow. That's a great story. So, do you feel we're going to come back to your mindset in a little bit? So, are you an accepted part of the fashion world now, or where are
Not
you
really.
in your journey?
Well, I'm still honestly that's a very good question. So like I would say no because people that do what I do in the fashion space, they are celebrating like they are like um they people know who they are. I feel like I'm not I don't I feel like people don't really know what I do or who I am or like who's behind the brand really. And um maybe at the right time people will do because people appreciate my journey and like and what I had to do to get here. And like people appreciate what the quality of my product, which is something I pride myself on. But like you said, just people that they appreciate in the fashion space or people that people that are known for doing what they do right now in the food or in fashion in general, like they they've been on that journey for years. Like they are veterans in that world. So I feel like I'm still looking in that sense, and I'm still kind of like trying to water and float in that space. So with time, I would definitely be appreciated, I think, or like, but not yet.
Okay, well, you made a first step. You're on the list of 100 on the Forbes list. Let's be clear, of 100 black-owned businesses to support. How did you get on that list? How did someone? Did you just get a phone call one day? Hey, this is Forbes, or how
Oh,
did you end up on that list? Tell
yeah.
that
So
story.
one powerful, I can share this with you. So one powerful thing that people don't realize is like you have to be your own like spokesperson per se, because we live in a world that like is very connected now, and like that could be a blessing and a curse at the same time, because there's so much information out there that like you kind of overwhelmed about. Everybody's signing a bit, everybody is doing something. Like there's so much going on. You can go to Instagram and get lost on Instagram for 2 hours, go on TikTok for 3 hours. So like there's so much information out there, and like people, there's new things coming up every day that people are not aware. So it's your job as a business owner or somebody to always be your own spokesperson, always trying to talk about who you are and what you're doing. And for me, I'm always looking for people that I can talk to, that people that I think like my time with them is valuable. Because I can stay here today and talk to so many people about what I'm doing, but like if my time with them is not valuable, it doesn't really move a needle for me. But with that being said, I realized a lot of stuff were going on during the whole COVID-19 thing, where people were shedding more lights on Black-owned business, and people were supporting Black businesses. And I feel like it was at some point I was hesitating to jump on that bandwagon and take advantage of it, um, because it just like it was not to me, it just seemed like it wasn't fit or any other business. But I was like, you know what, this is a time that like people need to appreciate being Black, and people need to understand like you can accomplish certain things or do whatever you want regardless of your racial background. And I feel like not a lot of people that look like me get to do what I do. um, and I need to speak forward and talk more about what I do or how I got here, and just own it. And that's why I reached out to. I kind of went on publications that were posting about Black-owned business, and I introduced myself to them. I say, listen, I know you guys probably don't know who I am or you hear my company, which is fine, because not I don't expect you guys to know every business in this world, or know everybody. But I pretty much pitch myself to them and tell
Right.
them this is who I am and this is what I do, and give them information to find out like a little bit about myself. And some people I actually got a lot of reply back from like, so I took like a deal to, and like just went on like Forbes, went on like what other, there's so many other places that we got
Complex, I
listed.
can
I
see.
even forgot. Oh, yeah, Bay also got featured on Yahoo News, Pop, Mary Claire's, websites like that. I just reached out to Fashionista. So I kind of like just, with always an email, you can always email somebody or figure out like who wrote them, who, and find out their contact information online and try and get in touch with them. So that's what I did. I just figure out who those people are. Who are those like gatekeepers that is writing about Black-owned business? And at that point, it was very essential to them to have information, because they are trying to shed light on more Black-owned businesses. They're looking for those information. They're looking for new things to write about. So I just kind of gave them what they're looking for, and like introduced myself to them and pitched. And it was a perfect timing and right. I pretty much did my own pre-out for me. Like people would pay thousands of dollars to do this,
Right. Definitely.
and to, but it was a perfect timing, and you can, and anyone that's listening to this can use that same idea to get on publications, because if you're pitching to publications, most of the time they want something they want to write about something they already write about, or like something that's happening at that time. You can't just pitch blankly about, oh, I'm doing this out of nowhere, and like it doesn't really align with what their project is or what they do at that time. It's like finding key things that's going on at that moment, and trying to figure out a way to kind of align yourself with what's going on. And that's what I
Right, make
did.
yourself
And it was,
relevant.
yes.
That's great. Okay, so I wanted to go back to your mindset. You say, because I was sort of taking some notes. It took you, really 5 years to launch the brand, etc. And it seems to me some of the mindset that you exhibit to get to where you are, like, yes, you're passionate, but that breaks down to you're very patient,
Yeah.
right? And also seems like you're flexible, meaning you're open to learning something new. You're a mechanical engineer, but you said, okay, let me go back and learn about fashion. I mean, it can't get, that's really two different spaces in a sense. So you're flexible. And then you mentioned that, you're clearly very committed for the long term. You have long-term vision. What other elements, or do you agree with those, or what other elements do you see, what kind of, that describes your mindset that you think other entrepreneurs may want to try to develop in order to do what it is that you're doing? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just amazing that the amount of time and commitment you're putting to this over years. What kind of mindset does it take to do that?
Yeah. So I feel like for every entrepreneur, really, like, because it doesn't matter what space or what industry you're trying to grow in. Um, the best thing an entrepreneur can have, the best quality they can have, it's perseverance and being persistent with your goal, no matter what you're doing at all. And I feel like I get to I knew I was gonna be an entrepreneur, or like that's what I'm trying to do. So I try to learn from like people that are going through it just like me, like people, like, surround yourself with similar like-minded people um that think the way you think or have similar goals. I feel like that really kind of helped me a lot in the sense that because I was able to learn from them and understand like entrepreneur journey is just like, it's not a one way or like, one path to success. You have to kind of go fail a lot to be able to succeed. Like you have to fall to be able to get back up. And if you have that mentality, um, uh, because you understand how long it takes and what it takes to be successful. Like it's not, the amount of hours you have to kind of put. It's just like being an athlete, right? Like you have to go in the gym or be in the gym so many times and be stronger or learn your plays or learn how to shoot that jump shot or kick that soccer ball, whatever, 100 times before you're good at it. And it's the same idea of being an entrepreneur and like having that mentality and applying it to all aspects of your life. But I totally agree with everything you just mentioned. That having that drive and having that mindset and also being flexible to learning new stuff and learning new tricks and learning how to apply yourself in certain situations, or learning something even new and entirely different from what you're comfortable with should be part of your life in terms of everything you do as an entrepreneur or even as anybody in the world. And yeah, and I really, really can't stress that enough. Like that, having the mindset to absorb information and learn more stuff can only get you better and like can only make you a better person. Some people don't like to, admit like they're wrong. Like I love to just sit down and listen and learn from people. And admit when I'm wrong because I don't know everything. Even if you've studied and go to school for a long time, there's somebody that knows more about you by a particular topic that you can always learn from. And just having that mindset alone, you can learn a lot from people. And just in observing, like I like to go to rooms or like go to places, like just observe what's going on in my element, in my environment. um and kind of, you're surprised how much you can learn and apply those stuff to your daily life.
Let's talk about success. So, do you, to me, I mean, honestly, I'm talking to you, or in the way you carry yourself and your 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 worldview, your point of view. To me, you're a successful guy in many ways. Clearly, I mean, you have a product that's actually out there that people can go online right now to finishoes.com and pick from a variety of products, order it, get it sent to them, and you get paid. I mean, that's a success. I mean, just getting your first what do you call prototype
Right.
made, that's a success. And launching. Do you really see success as a destination, or what's your view of success versus failure then?
Wow. um I don't think anyone has I've ever asked me that question before, but I don't see destination I don't see success as a destination. I see it as like a feeling. And like for me, I'm not at that point where I have that feeling yet. Where like, oh, I feel like I'm successful now. Like there's so many things I feel like I need to accomplish. There, I I I always align myself with like competitors, right? So there's people or the companies out there that do something similar to what I do. And to be honest with you, if I am comparing myself to them, I don't think I'm a success at all. Uh, they although like they also have to go to some other different challenge that probably I am going through or I'm not going through, but I know for a fact that like some of these people have some and more resources than I am because they're much bigger company than I am, and they're able to get either finance, either like people that have been in the fashion space for years or like know the business more than I do. Um, but it's about learning who you are and like trying to figure out how to exist in that space. But I have certain goals that I'm trying to reach that I feel like it might take time, but eventually I'll get there, and I'll be able to, part myself like, hey, okay, if I have that feeling, I feel like I'm not. Sorry for rambling. I apologize, but I don't think I have that feeling yet. Some people might seem like I'm successful, but like I'm still striving and trying to get to a point where like um sorry
Okay, so
for
what would be success for you? Okay, let's do it that way. So what would be success? Is it Fini shoes, kind of on the world stage, household name? Is it a
yes.
certain dollar amount in revenue?
So
Is it
I don't think I'm not trying to put like a dollar amount on like success. Like I don't think like for me it's not about the money. It's about knowing getting having that feeling like okay, now I'm successful. Like people know my brand on the world stage. Like I know I can do certain stuff that like I've always envisioned doing and dreaming of doing. And then at that point I'll be like, okay, yes, I'm successful. Like I feel like yes, don't get me wrong, I'm getting better than I was yesterday and always improving myself, improving my brand. Um it's a slow grind, but eventually it will happen. But I just don't think I'm there yet, and I don't have that feeling yet. I have a lot of people that I know that started the same journey as me of like, once you get into that space of like knowing who your competitors are and knowing like their journey, and find out who they are, right? And understanding where they came from. Like I can put myself in the same position where they are before, like, oh, they were here before, like they were doing this. And I feel like if I keep doing what I'm doing, then I'll be able to get to the point where their company is, where their brand is, and like, yes, make the same money they're making or even more, or being recognized in that space, or being recognized for what you do really. And I feel like I'm almost there, and by God's grace, I'll be able to accomplish my goals. But for me, that success is the feeling. I feel like I've not had that feeling yet that I'm
And so,
successful.
which achievements so far you personally, or
But
what are your breakthroughs and successes that you things that you see as breakthroughs and successes for you so far?
yeah, so one thing I want to do is I want to number one thing I want to do able to do is like I want to be able to have Fini shoes as a successful business where it wants itself and it's profitable. Um, and what I mean by that is I want to be able to do certain things like right now I financially can't do because I'm financially restrained as a startup company. There's so many goals I want to accomplish. It have been, having a physical store somewhere like in major hub in New York, stuff like that. And a lot of my competitors have this. They have their own retail stores in like the various cities. So that's one thing I'm open and trying to do. And I'm open like people able to support my journey and support my brand. Um, and love our product so that way we're able to get to that stage. The other thing I'm trying to do is being, and I'm gonna put it out there in the world. I want to be able to um I want to be able to be recognized in the footwear space where I can work with other brands and like and brands like Nike or Adidas and like work for them and or work with them to create footwear and like being seen as someone who is an expert in that field. I am doing that right now with another brand, and I'm learning along the way, um, working with various people to create luxury product, to create fashion accessories for a different brand, and I'm enjoying that. And I'm enjoying that. So I'm trying to see if I can continue to grow in that space as well. What else? Success. And I feel like being in that space where I don't feel like I have to. I'm constantly trying to achieve stuff for Fini. I feel like now I'm like always. Um, I feel like when I get to that point, like now I can relax. Like everything is on go. Everything is like automated, or like I have people doing certain stuff for me that I don't have to pass my worry about. So like, um, yeah, I'm almost there, but not quite yet.
Okay, staying on the journey. So looking back on how far you've come, is there anything you would do differently? That things you look back like, ah man, should have made a left instead of a right, or should you have gone to Portugal straight before China, or you probably learned some things in China.
Well, I feel like no. Would I have done that differently? Probably. If I had the chance, I would have probably gone to Portugal straight. But do I regret it? No. It's part of like the learning experience and the journey. Um, I'm just thinking, would I have done anything differently? Um, I mean, if I can take back those 5 years that it took me, I would definitely take them back.
Accelerate the learning.
Accelerated learning experience. But I can't really think of anything I would have done differently. I feel like every little part of the journey was like a learning experience for me. I see it as I'm learning through stuff. Like, even like from hiring like the wrong person to certain things, you learn quickly with that. I've had so much experience with running a company itself because like people don't understand when you like I actually proud and I appreciate anyone that have a startup company that get to the point where it's somehow successful because that means if they're the person that actually did the work and not just hired someone to do it, it means you understand the entire scope of the business, which means you know every aspect of like what it takes for that business to operate and run. And I can't emphasize enough on that because if you can do that, then you can open like another business and figure out like what it takes for that other business to work and understand sign those elements. Because when I was trying to start a company, I didn't realize so many different part of the puzzle that need to be in like being a puzzle for it to work. And sometimes hiring the right people or not knowing what you're looking for could be really bad. Now I'm in that position where like I know exactly what I want and like what I'm trying to accomplish. So if I'm trying to bring someone else on a team, or if I'm trying to accomplish a task, I know exactly what to do. And that experience has come from making the wrong decisions and making mistakes that I feel like I'm now able to learn from.
That's great. I just have this question I have to ask. Are you looking into any celebrity collaborations or anything like that? Can we expect any of that down the pipeline from
So I
Fini
am working on like a few
Industries?
collaborations for next year. In terms of celebrity collab, honestly, I don't have any on the board right now. But I have a few brands I'm working on to do a collaboration with. So like that's the exciting thing, right? So one thing I was going to mention before like maybe a year ago, I wasn't at that point where I could pitch my brand to do a collaboration with another brand or whatever, like another major brand, I would
Right.
say. But now I feel like I'm getting to that point where like people are like looking at my brand like, oh, this is cool, we can do this, or like we can accomplish this. So I'm very excited for that aspect of the business in terms of where I can use my voice or like my brand to not only collaborate with people but also educate people and like have a voice really to speak about stuff that like not normally not everybody will speak about and like or talk about my journey. I'm very excited about that. Just having that voice really.
Can we talk about Everleger, your other brand that you're working with a little bit? Is there a website for that? A handle? What does it carry?
The website is aveleger.com, HERVELEGER.
Okay.
And a little background on on Aveleger is they are a Paris fashion house. They make luxury product, luxury dresses for women, and they've been around for a long time, about 30 years. They used to be very popular back in the 90s and in the early 2000s, where they had a lot of celebrities with them, like Kim Kardashian, Beyonce, Meghan Markle, Rihanna. Name any celebrity, they used to or still wear the brand. The owner of the brand died, so the they went for a couple of years. They kind of went. They were not really functioning or operating during this period, but they now have a new owner who is trying to bring life back into the brand and make them compete with the likes of Chanel, Aliyah. So what they're doing now is the way they're trying to do that is they're offering a new product line. So they're offering shoes and handbags, or they're trying to offer shoes and handbags next year to the consumer. And my job is to make sure I can comes to life. So I'm working on product creation with Italian factories because it's a luxury brand. These products are made in the best factories in the world. Um, so, excuse me. I'm working with a designer, a veterinary designer that's designing handbags for like 20 years, and we coming up with a new product line, designing new handbags that I'm very excited for the world to see, really. And I feel like this will also give me another thing to add on my resume in the fashion space where I created or part of a team that created this product. So I'm looking forward to that.
So is it still making dresses or under the brand or just handbags?
So is that again?
Um, are you still making dresses under that brand or just handbags?
So I'm not part of the team that makes the dresses. So like I'm not a fashion designer. I don't make dresses at all. So what I specialize is a fashion accessories. So like shoes and handbags. The handbags is something I'm just adding to my resume and learning and designing to it. But I'm designing shoes for them, but I'm also part of the team that is also creating the handbags as well. Um, so it's a luxury product. So like it's not just it's gonna take us take us time to roll the product out because of the fact that this product is something that we taking time to create. Is we created something that is new. We're not just kind of creating taking something that's already exists and putting a label on it. We want to be authentic to the brand, which means we want to take um, brand codes and stuff from the brand that they've been used over the years and turn it into a physical product. So with that being said, so it could be like design pattern or the way the dresses were made or colors, something like that. Like we can get inspirations um from the brand and like what they've done over the years to create a new product line for them.
Wow, that's so there are no handbags yet, but that's coming soon.
Yes, they should be in the market next year.
And those will be made
They'll
where
be
will they
made
be? In Paris, in France,
in Italy.
Italy. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fantastic. Um, you know, I've sort of dabbled in that area of getting. I guess what I want to get into, there are places on the African continent, Kenya as an example, where they really you can get some of these leather products made. That they're really. Have you looked into that?
Yeah. So that's one thing that like I'm always trying to see what other factories are there or other places to make products. So I know like very Eastern Africa, there's a few factories that I know that make leather products. Um, but for me, like for Avelager itself, because of the fact that it's a luxury product and the luxury market are used to certain things or like or just that label alone made in
They
Italy
expect Italy.
respect certain standards, which I'm not saying that like the factories in Eastern Europe and can't do, but like the consumers are just used to certain things like that made in Italy brings certain value to them, and especially something new that you're trying to create like this. Um, like if it's someone like Gucci that comes out to them and say we're gonna make a stand and move our factory to like to Kenya or something, like then that could be a major shift for like luxury product. But if you're a new luxury product that's trying to introduce something new to the market, it's very difficult to say I'm gonna make a stand and go to Kenya and make stuff like that because you don't know how your consumers are gonna react to that. We don't know. there's no there's no playbook for that yet. So in the future, hopefully, when I'm in that driving seat, I can say, listen, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make my products from Kenya or in Africa.
And
Um,
everybody will have to follow.
yes, but in terms of Fini shoes, I one of the reasons why I wanted to move Fini shoes to from China to Portugal because the Chinese factory there was so much demand and pressure to make shoes in bulk, which I feel like as a small business we can handle that bulk order. And the way I also want to kind of grow my business, I want to offer different product categories and different um, variants in my shoes, like different colors and stuff. And I feel like having that pressure to create like thousands of shoes in one colorways cannot make me go that way. So like my current factory in Portugal, the minimums are much lower, and that could help me grow my business faster if I can create smaller ones, get marketing and sell out and make new products and like kind of don't have to sit on inventory. That's one way I want to grow my business. Um, the the other reason why I moved into Portugal because Portugal is it's kind of like a gem really, like where they make same quality as Italy but just a bit cheaper. Um, and a lot of my competitors that I'm trying to compete with, they make their products either from Italy or they make in Portugal as well. So being in that space could um, could make me go faster. But again, one thing I'm also definitely looking into is finding new as we continue to go, finding new places where we can make new products, where um, as a brand where we have that voice, like I said before, to do certain things like we can't do right now. It's like that's something I'm very excited in the future because I know as we continue to go, we will be someone who can make a stand and say, listen, this is how we want to do business. Just like how, like I said before, like how I'm interested in transparency in our product, in where we make our products. And one thing I'm trying to work on in the future is, having that voice to say, listen, I know this is how stuff are being made and how stuff are being done in the fashion industry. I feel like we as myself and my brand wants to just take this because I feel like this is the right way to do it. Or I don't want to just follow the norms. I feel like that's really helpful because I didn't typically come from a fashion background. So I've always done something differently from how everybody in the fashion space are used to doing anyways. So I'm looking forward to kind of figuring out ways we can, as an industry, make fashion industry better because not everybody's following the guidelines and rules and or doing stuff the right way.
I have two questions for you. I want to connect back to something you said in the beginning. Why do you think it's important for customers to know where their shoes are made? Well, it seemed like you thought it was important. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good question because I've been to China a few times and a lot of those that I see or the facts that I visited, like I see footwear brands that are like being made um or like people I see some I'm not gonna mention names, but like there are footwear brands that like make their shoes in China and they don't really, get to talk about their sustainability issues and like where the products are made and how they're made. Um, they just find the cheapest way to make their shoes, and I get it, it's business, but because they find the cheapest way to make their shoes doesn't mean it's the best way to make it or it's the best practice, and I've been in those rooms where I was like, this is not we shouldn't be making our products this way. Or this is not something that like um this is not something that like big name brands should be doing.
To be
So I feel like
doing.
they should be aligning how the products are made, and they're not. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason why there's no transparency in that space, really. And for me, you know, having the opportunity to start a brand and gain the consumer trust is very important. It's like saying like we want to create a really good product, but we're also going to take you to that journey of how your products are made, how the materials are sourced, and the factories and the people that are making your products are well paid. These are happy people and are happy doing their job, and you can feel proud and you can feel like you can own ownership, like you feel like you're part of that brand, you're part of the whole customer journey, and you appreciate that product better. But again, to talk more about your question, I feel it's important because it's we've had so much story in the fashion space where um, some stories make it to the headlines, but not a lot of stories make it to the headlines where people are not doing business the right way. Um, and we need to highlight and talk more about it so that way we like people, the consumers don't suffer because sometimes it might not I don't know, maybe they're making the shoes the wrong way that can be harmful to the consumers, or they can be harmful to people that actually make the products, or people that live in the areas where the products are being made. And somehow we can see that we are connected in the world, and it kind of affects us either way. Like it's the same way how COVID started in China and it's spread all over the world. Like that's because something is not being done correctly. So like if we can change the way we do things, you know, and think in a certain way that we are globally connected, then we should not be doing that, or we should be taking ownership in doing things the right way.
Right. That's sort of sounds like the triple bottom line.
Yeah.
Sometimes corporations talk about, which is, I guess, is profitability for their shareholders, but also environmental, um, environmental and social responsibility. I think those are the three.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't want to be that sustainability guy and like talking about corporate social responsibility because that's another topic itself. But um, because I don't want to take the light away from what, you know, talking
Right.
about the entrepreneur journey and stuff, but that's like, actually, when I was going back to school to study fashion, I learned a lot about that itself, of how as a society and how as a fashion industry, like how the fashion industry is the second most polluted industry in the entire world, and how we can do better. But um, you know, so like accessibility could be another like it could be a topic where you could take days. We kind of, you know, go kind of peel through the layers. But to just quickly touch up on that topic though, um, not a lot of people are doing it the right way, and a lot of people are talking about it because things are just not being done correctly. And there's so much other stuff and so much other um, work that needs to be done to correct that.
And then part of that is going to be, I don't know, I'm not a fashion guy, but it sounds like, part of that change will have to a combination of educating the consumer, which,
Yeah.
letting them know where your things are being made can have an influence on their purchasing decisions. And eventually, if customers start checking like, oh, I like Fini shoes because like I can see where it's made. I like that vibe. They like the energy. Even if they don't, if it's not the word sustainability, but they feel like they're closer to the product in a sense and how it's made, then eventually, if the customers want it a certain way, then eventually I guess the industry will have to make that shift.
The customers could force the industry to change because they have the buying power, and I feel like we're slowly seeing that happening with so many different brands and so many different products. And eventually, I feel like that was a really really trend, something that was trending. I'm not sure before COVID. I don't know what it is now, but it was really trending before. And also also talk about like profitability, right? So, making your products the cheapest way and not may not necessarily the best way to be profitable as a business. So one thing you could possibly think about is like the long time. Sustainability doesn't mean like right now, like it might not be profitable right now, but in the long run, especially for like big corporations, right? So one thing that like could help you if your company is like publicly traded, right? And something that could possibly help your company stock even go better. And like I said before, this is a trend that was going on before. A lot of investors and people that are investing in or buying stocks in general, they're looking at um, they're looking at ESG and looking at how certain brands are operating and how they've been and how they're conducting their business before they invest in certain in companies because um, what the trend is like when a certain company is not doing something correctly or they're not doing business in the right way, that could end up being a public backlash to them, and that could potentially have customers not buy their products, so they could be canceled. How like
Right.
people like right? That could eventually not make people buy their products, and that way the stock market goes down. So now investors are like looking at them and saying like, if they're not doing making their products right or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then we're not going to invest their money into that company, and we're not going to buy stocks or whatever. So we've seen that change in terms of like not only from the consumer perspective, but also from like investment as well. So it's kind of forcing a lot of companies and to do the right thing. And especially on the investment side of like if your company could eventually make more money or or your stock price could rise because this investors are doing their due diligence to learn and find out which companies are being sustainable or these companies are doing business for the good
Right.
of people or for the better. Then people are taking their time now to think, oh, should we be doing this? And I think I'm excited. I'm excited for the future in that sense.
I know you're a busy guy, and I want to wrap it up for you and let you go. Run your businesses. But a couple of things I wanted to bring up on that. Well, one last thing on sustainability for me. So I think the thing about, you know, sustainability, and it's just a word, but I think what really goes into it is the idea that there's a cost to bringing a product to market, and that sometimes the true cost of bringing that product to market is not embedded in the price. And so that cost is sort of being hidden or being absorbed by other people in other areas. So, for example, either it's being absorbed by the working conditions of the workers or how they're getting paid, or they're paid below market, so they're suffering, so they're not getting paid really what it costs them their effort and livelihood to make, or their costs to the environment that are not worked into the cost because no one's doing the cleanup, or they're just dumping XYZ. So as an example, there was a guy, you know, Instagram, I can't remember his name, but he's well known for making, you know, dyed products, and he uses natural dye somewhere in West Africa. And I wish I remembered his name, but so there are a couple ways to make dye products if you know about it. So there's the natural way, which is, you know, I don't know, some plant or whatever, but then there's, you know, artificial dye. And then he has a whole Instagram where he talks about, well, I can't really mass produce my product because no one's really going to pay the cost
Yeah.
of doing it like the natural way that he does it. And he's just saying, so he's just saying, well, no one's really willing to pay. We want to pay. Sometimes the consumer wants to pay a lower point.
I see what you're saying, because like there's a cost for doing business, right? So like in this situation, he has to, like, the way to you can do the same thing he's doing in a very cheaper way.
Yes.
By you know, not doing it naturally. But because he wants to do it naturally, it's cost him more to do it. So and like people always say, oh, I'm like, oh, I don't want to pay more, so I'll go with the cheaper way, but it might not be the most sustainable way. So like, but like, but the way you can kind of look about that is like some people, or even more people now, are looking at the way their products are being made, and like if you want to pay that extra money, so it's like, listen, I'll pay that extra cost just to make my product in a natural way, even if it's much expensive than the other way. You can always find your consumers to do that. You can always find a consumer who's going to pay just a little bit more extra, especially when you tell them the entire journey of how your product is being made. It's the same thing, right? So this is like pretty much marketing, and in some sense, like, hey, I'm going to tell you how my product is being made so that we can know the true value of why it costs this much to pay that value, to pay it for. So I get it. Like you're always trying to like introduce your product the cheapest you can to the market, but I feel like as a brand, you just have to take a second and say, listen, like I'm gonna just do it the right way. If it's gonna cost more, then people appreciate it more for what it is. And then I feel like there'll be then people just appreciate a product more if they know, like, especially if they take the second to take the research and understand, like, hey, this is why this product is being much. And you can always like even talk about why that product costs more. You can, I'm sure, like even on an e-commerce business, list it on the website, say, hey, the pricing is this much, or product description, say the reason why this product is a bit more expensive is because of how much it costs. But we go into that. I feel like as a society, we are going into that space where cost is not the price. I mean, the cost of doing business is not the first thing we think about anymore. It's about, I feel like some people are now thinking like, hey, is this the best way to do business? Is this the most sustainable way to do it? Because in the long run, it does affect your business. Somehow it does, really.
So two more questions. Let's talk about marketing. You have a really nice product. I mean, I go to the site. The site looks great. The shoes look great. It just seems like, wow, as long as you put that in front of people, there's just more people going to buy it. What are you doing for marketing right now, I guess? And what have you found that works for you that maybe, I guess, other entrepreneurs can try to do?
So, in the past, we haven't really run. Facebook ads, and I feel like that's shocking. And there's a reason why we haven't really done that because, like I was saying, we didn't have that much inventory on our website because of the switch from China to Portugal. It was taking us a long time to kind of create new products because the our factory in Portugal wasn't operational. They were trying to learn how to make our products and stuff. But now, and then we got affected by COVID. So I feel like we lost pretty much a year not having inventory on our website. And it's painful to say that because we're not capitalizing and monetizing on how we should be on selling products. Um, but again, like I said, we try and do this for a long time, right? So the main reason why we switched our factory in the first place was we're thinking long time on how we can always improve our business and how in the long term I think it'll be the best decision for us to make. Although we're taking a hit right now of like if we had a Chinese factory, we would be making products and selling. But again, a lot of people are even moving their production from out of China because of this COVID situation. So I feel like we were like in the forefront of it. And again, to go back to like doing stuff for the long run, even when you know like it's the right thing before everyone start doing it. Um, we are kind of ahead in that playbook because now people are moving stuff out of China. They're looking for new product factories to make their products. They're gonna suffer now because everyone is trying to do that. But we got ahead of it in that sense. Although we're still suffering now, but our factory is going. We're gonna get back, and we're gonna have more products. But to answer your question, though, sorry for rambling.
No, it's fine.
Um, we are going to start doing Facebook ads and like being engaged on like having like Google ads and finding other market ways to market our product. That's something like I've been learning a lot and understanding that space because as a business owner, you also want to know where you're investing your money. I know I was going to eventually invest my money into like being a marketer and marketing my products in front of people and getting out there in front of more people. But we've done Facebook ads in the past. It wasn't successful, and the reason why it wasn't successful was because one, the content of how we were trying to sell the products to people wasn't good, and also like our website wasn't like great that time. Like it was good now, but that's because we've worked on it and we've learned certain things and how to do certain things and how to operate as an e-commerce business. So now I'm very excited to kind of go back into that space where we're doing advertisement on Facebook, we're doing advertisement on all social media platforms, Pinterest, Google, trying to get out there in front of more people. Also, we one thing I forgot to even say was we actually launching an app as well,
Oh wow.
and it's actually already on Apple Store right now. But the reason why we are not promoting yet because it's in a better stage. We ch- we are going to be changing photos of the photos on the app. It's just placeholders right now, so. Hopefully by the time people are listening to this more and more we'll be able to will have finished changing those photos so that the photography looks nice on the app. But the reason why we're making it app because everybody is going kind of mobile now and you save money by having an app. If you have people down your app and have an account, you can send push notifications to them without that doesn't cost you anything. So if you running ads now, you have people download your app. You don't have to kind of retarget them, or it doesn't cost you anything to retarget them by by sending push notifications. So that's one, and a lot of like also brands, not even just footwear, um, like consumer brands in general, they're not having mobile app where um, they can easily sell their products and communicate with their consumers. Especially with shoes now, like the sneaker app, Adidas also just relaunched their app as well. So like everybody's trying to be in that space, and I feel like that's the future for e-commerce, moving from like even websites to like mobile apps, and it does trying to sell something. You can simplify that purchase experience very well by not offering them so much information that your website does. Um, but yeah, so we we're trying to make the app very seamless so that we can also figure out, if the best way to, to market our products, it's through the app or through like social media or through website. So it's something that we're trying to find a balance there in the next coming months and see how
Okay.
success.
So you sort of answered my last question, which was you answered the last question, which is what can consumers expect from Fini shoes in the near future. So it sounds like you have an app. It's on Android and iOS.
Yes. So what you can expect really, and what I'm working on is we want to be able to, so through the app, we're going to be releasing different products. So like
Yeah.
pretty much every month, we're going to like try and see if we can get new products out, or even maybe shorter than that. Um, so we want to do like different colorways with the old product line and offer like various products. So like if you're a guy that like wearing all black shoes, we have all black shoes for you. If you get that like wearing neon bright shoes, we have like some type of iterations of that, like yellow, green. Also like trying to see if be um we can cater to different people and different tastes. Which is why one of the reasons why I moved the factory in the first place to Portugal, because we want to kind of reduce that that minimums that we're ordering from our factory. So yeah, definitely new product launch, um, collaborations, some really good content from our products that are being made. Uh, we also actually one thing that I actually worked on. We're working on a Black Lives Matter merch where and like a Black Lives Matter collection where it's actually really cool. We created like a really cool artwork for it where um, people can support the Black Lives Matter movement. And I feel like not a lot of people talk about it, but it's something that we want to kind of use our voice to educate and support. So we're also working on that as well. What else are we working on? We trying to create new products as well. So like we have two products currently coming out, and we're working on two more. So we're gonna have like different styles, like different kind of shoes, and then in those types of shoes, we're gonna have different colors. So like pretty much we want people to come to our website on our app and see different products all the time,
Right.
and uh, not just sit on inventory. So like you want to get on that app and let me see what's going on.
Right. Right.
You don't miss out on anything. So that's like our and our product release really.
That sounds very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much, Dami, for your time. You're a real OG entrepreneur. You've been doing this since what, at least 2013 now. Well, 2013 clocks in, right? 2013. You launched in 2018, and there's still more to come. So we want to encourage everybody to check out finishoes.com, FINI shoes.com. Check out the app. Sounds like you have really nice products coming down. So I don't know. I might have to get one now and wait to see what's coming down the pike. By the way, are your shoes interchangeable? Are they interchangeable? Like if someone wants to just go funky.
Yeah, so the new products line, so the attachments so the attachment that comes with one shoe can be worn with the other products as well. So that's one thing that we want to actually kind of embed in our product, so that way people can always come back and say, "Oh, I want to buy this product because I can wear this attachment with this other product as well." So also find a way to, I won't say upsell because I feel like I'm a marketer that way, but like we can always upsell people by coming back. You can always buy a new attachment because it's
Yeah,
really
you have to give the people what they want. Absolutely. People like to accessorize. All right. Thank you so much. Listen, um, I'm just gonna sign off, but then hold on a second. I have a couple questions for you. So, um, thank you, Dami, for the interview, and we're looking forward to having you again. I think there are a lot of conversations we didn't have, but maybe we'll save for another segment.
Yeah, definitely. I'm here. I'm excited.